you. Now, as we transition to our next session, I'm honored to entrust the leadership of the session to our esteemed session chair, Professor Ajay Pratap. Professor Pratap is a distinguished scholar in the field of archaeology and ancient Indian history. He holds degrees from renowned institutions such as St. Stephen's College, Delhi University, and Deccan College, Pune, including PhD in archaeology from the Department of Archaeology, University of Cambridge, UK. With a rich academic background, he has authored notable works including The Ho and the X, Ethnohistory of Shifting Cultivation in Eastern India, and Rock Art of the Vindhyas, an archaeological survey. Currently, he shares his expertise as a lecturer in ancient Indian history at Banaras Hindu University. His field explorations have focused on documenting shifting cultivation and rock art in areas like Rajmahal Hills and the Eastern Vindhyas. We are pleased to have you as our esteemed session chair. Your presence enriches our event, and we extend a warm welcome to you. I now pass the charge over to you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, Professor Gandhi, and thank you, Professor Kedareshwari. This is really my very first participation in the International Museums Day. So I am all sort of excited and curious about how the discussions go. Presently, we have three speakers lined up, and I've had a chance to read something about them thanks to Professor Kedareshwari forwarding the program beforehand. And I'm absolutely thrilled with whatever I have read of the work of Professor Aruna Pariti, if I've got the pronunciation correct, Mrs. Anita Bose, who's at Chulalongkorn University in Thailand, and Dr. Hanoz Patel, who's at the Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts, Delhi. And I believe that there would be 30 minutes per presentation. Is that right?
So ideally 20 minutes for the speaker and then 10 minutes if kept for any discussion post the presentation.
Sure. I do not have a title for Dr. Patel. Is it Museums and Memories? I mean, the title.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. Then we can just start with Dr. Aruna Parti, if you would care to join the meeting and give a presentation.
Very good afternoon to one and all. Respected Chairperson, Professor Ajay Pratap, and other fellow participants. First of all, at the outset, let me thank my sincere thanks to Dr. Kedareshwari for giving me this opportunity to be part of these celebrations on the World Museums Day. And wish you all a very happy Museums Day, World Museums Day. As we know that museums are rich repositories of our heritage, culture, and history, and they play a very significant role in transmitting the culture to the past and transmitting the past traditions. Similarly, monuments also are also the legacies which are left behind our predecessors. So protecting the monuments and museums are very important, not only for preservation of our past, but also as a sources of revenue generation. So my topic today is the role of educational institutions in protecting monuments and museums. The reason for taking up this thing, in fact, the topic.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, just a second. Can we please have the other members mute themselves because there's a lot of background disturbance?
Yeah, okay.
Yes, ma'am, please continue.
Yeah, in the meanwhile, I'll try to share. Yeah, I hope you can see my slide, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you able to see the slide?
We can see the slide, ma'am, but it's the PowerPoint screen. If you can just put it on a slideshow, it will be better.
Yeah. I don't know. 1 second, I'm trying to, I'll stop sharing and put it again.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Before that, let me tell you. Actually, so the topic that has been given to me is on role of educational institutions in the protection of monuments and museums. So what I have chosen for this thing is about my own college. Okay, my own college, it is housed in a British residency premises. And yeah, now I think I'll share my presentation. Share screen. What happened to me? One minute. I think something went wrong. Just a minute.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes, you know, it always happens that at the time of sharing only we encounter all these problems. Yeah. Yeah, I think you can see now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is, I'm going to speak on this, and this is a world, the British residency, and it has been constructed. So my presentation is going to have basically 3 parts. One is the history of British residency, then restoration of British residency and measures taken for the protection of the monument and the museum. Why I'm talking about the museum is because after the restoration of this monument, a museum was established in this particular building. So it is very important for us to understand the history of British residency, because the entire history is also shown in the galleries that we have organized for the museum. So, and apart from this, I'm also going to speak about the measures that we have taken to safeguard the museum and also the monument, to protect the monument. But this is a very new one, a very, it's a nascent museum, we can say, just born, maybe a couple of years back, okay, and still not open for the entire public. So let me tell you that the British residency had a long history. The history starts from the time of the Nizams. So it was in 1724, which is a landmark year in the history of the Deccan. And we know that at this particular time, Nizamul Mulk Asif Jah had founded the city of, Hyderabad state, and with Aurangabad as its capital. And after him, there was a war of succession. And then finally, we have Nizam Ali Khan, the 4th son of the Nizamul Mulk, who came to power in 1762, and he ruled for a very long period. The reign of Nizam Ali Khan is very significant, because it was during this time that we see the subsidiary alliance being signed with the Britishers. Okay, so as you all know, what is a subsidiary alliance? So the British agreed to give protection, and the Nizam agreed to station the British resident and also finance the entire British military force. So with this treaty have come the British residents. Even before that, there were residents like William Kirkpatrick, Kenaway and all. But after the signing of this particular treaty, we see the permanent residents coming to Hyderabad, and they are being stationed here to look after the army, and other things. Okay, they played, in fact, Hyderabad had become a very crucial center for the British. So James Achilles Kirkpatrick is the most important resident of this particular period, I can say, because it was during his time that the building of his James Achilles Kirkpatrick, and it was during his time that the monument has been constructed, that is the British Residency. So he was a very well-known personality in Hyderabad court. He was very influential, and he had fallen into love with a Hyderabadi noble lady, Khairunisa Begum. She was just 14 years old, but and it was not very easy for this marriage to happen because of the fact that he is a Britisher and she is a Hyderabadi noble, I mean a Muslim lady, a Saida noble woman. So he had to transform himself into completely transform himself into a Mughal or a Indian. So he started wearing the Indian attire, and also completely, I mean, started, I mean, he transformed, we can say. So after the nikah was performed, they both had 2 children. Mir Gulab Ali Sahib Alam, who is known as William, and Noorinisa Begum. So this, I mean, the story of this love and the marriage is quite tragedy, we can say, because after the marriage, Khairunisa, after the children were born, the children were sent to England, and James Kirkpatrick had died in 1805. Before his death, he actually visualized to construct a beautiful British residency. So this is the British residency that he had come up with. He wanted to construct this, first of all, to showcase the hegemony of British residents, Britishers in India, and also the power. The residency symbolizes the power of the Britishers in Hyderabad. So this was a original thing, and this was a plan that he had submitted to the Nizam for approval. But unfortunately, the plan was first initially rejected by the Nizam because it was shown on a big sheet of paper. And so one of the ministers advised him to reduce the size. And once he reduced the size and submitted, the Nizam had given his approval. So then had come up. So on the banks of this is Musi River, on the banks of Musi River, you have the residency building that had come up. So this is just opposite, the opposite side of the Musi River, we have Chowmahalla Palace. So the architect of this residency was Henry Holland. He was, though he did not come to India, but he had sent his plans because the plans were based on this Carlton House. And so this is a Carlton House and this is a British residency. In fact, what is very interesting about the British residency is that there are so many monuments in the world that have close resemblance to the British residency that I'm going to show you in the next few slides. So this is Carlton House. You can see the similarities of the house, 6 pillars and that pediment, and also the east and west wings. Then you have here we have this semicircular staircase. This is Carlton House and this is our British residency. So we have almost similar things, similar staircase. And then so when Henry Holland couldn't come, he had entrusted the work to Samuel Russell, who actually supervised the entire work. And he also got certain ideas from the government house in Calcutta. So this is a government house in Calcutta. So you have, and this is St. Petersburg, more or less a similar type of architecture we can see. And so there are some similarities between government house and British residency. Even the gateways are also similar. And even the White House, you can see the northern, this is a southern facade of British residency, and this is a southern facade of White House, Washington. And this is the northern facade of British residency and northern facade of White House. So these are some of the, I mean, similarities that we see between the famous monuments that are found in other parts of the world also. And then we coming to the architectural features, it has pediment and the beautiful Corinthian pillars and Ionic pillars. And then we have the cornices been beautifully decorated. Here we have all these things, and columns been decorated with the floral designs. And then we have, this is the most interesting part of the monument. This is a hall that we call this as a Darbar Hall. Earlier, the classes used to be conducted in this Darbar Hall, but after restoration, we are no longer conducting any classes here. And this is a ceiling of the Darbar Hall. The ceiling of the Darbar Hall is made with papier mache. So this was brought from abroad and then from England or yeah, and then they made this thing. They got it in the ship and then they made this particular ceiling, but this was added much later. In fact, we can see that the British residency was occupied by several residents. Almost 54 residents occupied this residency, and every time a new residency comes, a new changes were added to the building. So, and this is a Madras type of flooring and all this. And this is a lion in front of the British residency. It was earlier a sphinx, but later converted to a lion. When Lord Curzon had visited this place in 1904, he got it changed to lion. So symbolizing the British power again. So, and this is a Rang Mahal, which is now in a dilapidated state. So renovation work is going to be taken up very soon. Then this is a model house or a doll house. So it's a practice in the earlier times that, especially in Europe, that they need to make a model. Okay, so this, based on this particular model, they have constructed the building. Of course, there are so many stories regarding this. James Achilles wanted to show his wife Kairunisa because she was always in Parda and couldn't visit the main building. So he made this house, and it's also called as doll house because it seems he had presented this as a birthday gift for his children. So how far these stories are correct, we are not sure, but this particular monument still exists, and it is also, when it was completely dilapidated, it's been restored during the, by Deccan Heritage people firm. Okay, so there are other structures also in this particular campus, and there's also a heritage stepped well, a very beautiful well, almost 2 floors. Down we have to descend to reach the water level. So this was the original. So when this building was constructed, it was like this with the Sphinx, as I showed you, and it's a grand affair attending this particular parties that were hosted in this building and all. So the photos of all these things are being displayed in the museum that has come up 2 years back in the residency. So then what is another important interesting thing is about the residency's history is the revolt of 1857. It's generally believed that the revolt had started in north and had but its repercussions can also be felt in the Deccan, especially when it was attacked in 1857 when Colonel Davidson Cuthbert was a resident, and Maulvi Alauddin and Turebas Khan attacked this residency on 17th July 1857, and the photographs of these are also been displayed in the museum. So then we have the gateways. This is Empress Gate, Robert Gate, and then we have Lansdowne Gate. In fact, the Empress Gate is the one very colossal one, almost similar to the Calcutta Government House, and it's now been renovated. It doesn't look now like this because it's now completely renovated. And now we have Roberts Gate and Lansdowne Gate were added after the revolt because the security of the monument was threatened. So to strengthen that, they have added these 2 gates. And we also have a very beautiful cannon. Some inscriptions are also inscribed on it, but its maintenance is like this, as you have seen in the picture. At least now it has been raised and kept like this. And there are other structures. This is a cemetery of the British residents who have stayed, residents and also their families who have stayed and who lost their lives here, and there is we have different types of symmetry, burials over here. Very interesting. And our students, I always make it a point to take my students there to clean up the things and also preserve this, because it's been lots of money has been invested in the restoration of these particular burials also. And another interesting thing is the Musi floods that have occurred during this in 1920 and 1908, September 27th. So this is the place that was affected. And after this, having told about this history of this particular monument, which has undergone several changes and also had faced several historic incidents and all, it has been later converted into a college. It was in 1924 that Mir Usman Ali Khan wanted to establish a girls' college. So at Nampally, he had established a girls' college, and in 1933, it was upgraded to Usmania University College, which started offering degree and all. So, so they wanted now after this, after the British vacated the presidency after the independence, Nizam wanted the premises to be changed to a much safer place. So he he constituted a committee which suggested the British, so committee consisting of Sir Mehdi Yar Jung, Syed Ahmad Hussain Bilgrami, Nawab Zain Yar Jung, and Begum Zain Yar Jung. And these people have suggested 3 places, out of which the residency has been finalized. So we have, after the college has been shifted to the residency, we have almost that this happened in 1949 and during the time of GM Linnell. And then we had several principals who served the college. All these principals who served, and Professor Vijulata had become the first Vice Chancellor of Telangana Mahila Viswavidyalayam, because the college has been upgraded into a university in 2022. So then she was made the first in charge Vice Chancellor. Of course, one of the sad thing is that the college has been upgraded, the JIVA has been passed, but so far no bill, no act, and no funding. So we are like in a very pathetic state. Okay. So when the building was given to the college, it started facing the degeneration. So the the building almost was dilapidated. Many parts of the building started dilapidating in course of time. And with the efforts of World Monuments Fund and in partnership with the University College for Women, Department of Heritage, that is State Department of Archaeology, and GN Heritage Matters, and others like Robert Wilson Charitable Trust and Richard Breuer Trust, American Press, and Dr. Tejaswini Yarlagadda of Bleach India Foundation. They have taken up, these people have provided financial assistance, and the restoration work has been taken up. So this was this was a kind state of the building, and after restoration, this was a state. So like this was a cellar. After restoration, the cellar looks like this. And the building looks like this after restoration. And this is a Darbar Hall. And this is so the Darbar Hall has 2 stories. Okay, so the first floor and the second floor. And of course, down we have the cellar, which I have showed you. So the cellar, we don't have anything over there right now. So because it's very dark, and you need proper lighting over there even to use it as a museum. So with the efforts of World Monuments Fund, we have and also Dr. Anuradha Nayak, she had designed the museum on the first floor, which is housed in the first floor. The first floor was like this before restoration. So after restoration, so after restoration, they had made this as a museum. The first floor was made it into a museum where we have the galleries of history of Hyderabad state, photo of Raja Deen Dayal, because he had made most of the photos, and British residents gallery, all the British residents, all the 54 British residents. Then we have the story of James Achilles and his family, which I've showed you earlier. And then the pictures of the attack on the British residency and the history of the college. And we also have some rare pictures and photos of principals who served the institution. And then we also have a gallery which shows the pictures of the restoration process and the broken pieces of the ceiling, flooring, railing, and some artifacts which were found in the process of renovation. And we also have an audiovisual room which shows only the video of how the restoration was taken place and not the history of the entire building and all. So only the so we have suggested to add the story also, because that would interest the students more. So next, so these are the various British residents who were there, and the gallery has all the pictures of these British residents. And these are the various pictures that we found. She's Professor Linnell and her students, and then NCC cadets and all. These are from 1950s and all these photographs. So rare photographs they have exhibited in this particular museum. So now coming to the various measures. Now this is a very, nascent building, we can say. After restoration, it was handed over to us only in 2022. So that means only 2 years back. So what are the measures that we have taken? First of all, we have to sensitize the students. Okay, because it's a monument which had taken several crores of rupees to be restored, and we have to really sensitize the students. So so the task has been entrusted to me. So I have actually, during the induction programs, every year we have, when the first years join, get admitted, we conduct induction programs. And in this induction program, I tell about the history of the British residency and also about the museum, and also tell them how we have to protect and how we have to take pride in our own monument. Okay, so I also take them to a field trip around the campus so that they will feel that they belong to this particular historic place. And of course, every time I get very good appreciation for that presentation. And then we also introduced skill enhancement course in archives and museums. This particular course, of course, is not really doing so well, because as long as I am there, I think I'm confident that I can do justice. But once because other faculty doesn't seem to be very much interested, I'm sorry to say this, to share this frankly in front of you, but this is a plight, plight of our department. So, as part of this course, I used to take my students to museums and give them projects on museums and all, and they really did wonderful job by visiting various museums. And then we also have, what happened? Yeah, we also have so other things like, I also try to conduct some quiz programs and all, and we also conduct cultural festival. It's an inter-college cultural festival where we invite all the students from other colleges and then conduct various programs. And so one program is about the British Museum also. We try to British residency. We try to conduct some quiz programs and all based on this particular topic. So anyway, it's going on. As long as I am there, I think it will go on. Then, okay, the major challenge for us is how we have to generate revenues. So much money has been spent, but how can we generate revenue? So first of all, they have, tried to charge ₹100 per head and ₹50 per students, but not many visitors keep coming because the timings are quite not very suitable for the visitors also, because at the same time we also have college classes happening and all. Of course, we don't use the monument for classes, only some important VC chamber and another room for our SO is there, that's all. The rest of the building is open for visitors. But as there are not many visitors, we are trying to give this monument for film shooting. So movie shootings, of course, we get a major source of revenue through movie shootings, but and now this is a major challenge because they don't know about the importance. So we try to explain. There are two supervisors who also act as guides, and they explain to the film movie makers what precautions they have to take while shooting and all that. And this is giving us some sort of revenue. Now, with these major challenges with us, it is now very difficult, like how we have to manage. And our partners are the Department of Heritage, and they don't give us much money. From the resources that we get from these film shootings, or a very meager amount that we get from the visitors thing, it becomes very difficult for us to manage. I think persons like Kedareshwari ma'am and other people, I mean, who have just presented, and Rekha Reddy and all, they should come up with some good ideas so that we can make something to sustain this museum in the British monument. So with this small presentation, I think I'll end my presentation. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, Kedareshwari ma'am. Thank you once again.
Is Professor Pratap online?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Aruna,
Yes, ma'am.
you have really thrown light once again.
Thank you,
You
ma'am.
have weaved, your whole thing, your whole story is historical. It's about a monument, which is again a historical building. I would like to share one small story every time you talk about that. This British residency, when the Asafjahs were ruling Hyderabad, the British resident went up to him and asked for a piece of land. He took a layout plan of the British residency along with the land and the survey. That was a very large layout, on paper. And the paper also rolled into a huge bulk. So the Asafjah looked at it and he said, "Are itta bada, nahi deta, itta bada," which means that he doesn't want to part with so much of land. So this is a story which attracts visitors. Stories always attract.
Yes.
And then next day or about 2 days again, he took a small visiting card and put the whole layout on that.
True.
Then the Asafja ruler, he said, "Yeah, ye theek hai, main de dunga." So this was a very popular story. And
True,
another
very
popular
true.
story about the same ruler is the doctors had asked him to diet. So they said, "You can't have so many sweets, you have to cut down your diet and remain healthy." So he said, "Okay, how many can I have?" They said, "Yes, maximum you can have one laddu." Next day, when the doctors used to frequently visit him, they visited him when he was at his dinner table, and they found one huge, just 10 kg laddu on the table. So the doctor said, "What is this?" Then he said, "Aapne to bola tha ek kha sakta hu." So that ek is cake. So such stories, are so many stories about these figures, historical figures, that it really attracts people more than the historical facts. Like my own son visited Golconda Fort and he was told that the ruler had, 400 wives or something. That guide there told him. He went with my friend. He comes home and the first question he asks me, the ruler had 400 wives. Daddy only has one wife. So with this note, I would, like to tell you how attractive these stories seem to children and adults. Thank you, Aruna. It was a fantastic presentation.
Thank you,
You
ma'am.
spoke about the monument, you spoke about its history, you spoke about people who dwelt there, the romantic stories, and you gave it a very good background of the importance of conservation and restoration. But I only have one thing to say, that when you give it to film people, they tend to, overuse the monument and stress it. So take care of that factor. And could you introduce an entry fee to that, to raise fundraising? Could you introduce some fees?
Yeah, we do have fees, no, ma'am, for the entrance. I told you we have 100 rupees per head. If it's
That is
and
quite
for
a lot.
students.
That's quite a lot. You have to reduce it to encourage visiting, because I've seen that this, I didn't know this pathetic financial condition. Are you getting your salary, Aruna?
Yeah. Luckily, we are
Okay,
getting
okay,
it.
okay. Thank you so much.
And one more thing, what I feel is once if I'm moved out of this college, I don't know what is going to happen, because they don't involve the historians in decision making of the museums and all. So I don't know what is going to happen. So as long as I'm there, I try to see that the students get some insights about the museum and the monument.
Actually, it's always the individual who works,
Yeah.
really works. And all of us individually can put in joint collective effort. So
And
we will talk about your
ma'am,
problem, how to
1 minute.
respond.
1 minute. I wanted to admit in front of everyone here that my interest in museums has been generated mainly because of Kedareshwari ma'am, with whom I have worked for almost only 6 months, I think.
6 months, how many years ago? 20 years ago.
20 years ago, in 2001. So thank you so much, ma'am, for for giving that type of inspiration to me to work on museums and all. Thank you so much.
But you
To
have
work
been
with you.
consistent. I only inspired you, but you consistently followed it. So the credit
Thank
goes
you.
to you more
Thank you,
than
ma'am.
me. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.